So Himawari just tried to nuke the village in chapter 30. And today I'm going to explain exactly why she's becoming Konoha's most dangerous weapon. For a long time, the rules of being a Jinchuriki were pretty simple. Keep the monster in the cage. Naruto spent years learning just to open that door just an inch without losing control. We aren't looking at a host who is struggling to contain a beast anymore. We're looking at a host who has access to nuclear level power as easily as breathing. Most of you have been pointing out how unstable or bipolar she seems in this fight against Mamushi, and you're not wrong, but it's not because she's crazy. It's because she has the firepower of a tailed beast but the battle experience of a Genin. To start things off, we need to break down the context of this invasion because you can't really understand why she went for the nuclear option until you see how annoying her opponent really is. For context for the viewers who haven't been keeping up with Boruto, the villain here is Mamushi, and unlike the other Shinju who are trying to be warriors and philosophers like Jura, Mamushi is just gross. He's got this creepy, unkept vibe, bad teeth, and he's dressed in a swimsuit for some reason. But the main gimmick is that he represents a swarm. He spams you. He uses replication to just clone himself infinitely. This of course is bad news for Team 10. Usually Chocho is a tank. If she hits you with her expansion jutsu, it's normally very effective. But in chapter 30 we see her crush a Mamushi clone into the pavement, shattering the ground, and the guy simply divides into more. So everyone is in trouble here. Not because they're weak per se, I mean that's somewhat part of it, but because they're playing a stamina game against someone with infinite lives in some sense. So Team 10 is stuck in a loop where every punch they throw just creates more problems. It is this specific pressure, this feeling of being overrun, that pushes Himawari to skip the martial arts and go straight for mass destruction. Himawari's answer is a tailed beast bomb, but notice the details here. She doesn't enter a glowing chakra mode, she doesn't turn into a fox. She just charges a tactical nuke in what's pretty much her base form with minor alterations to her face. This confirms what Kurama said earlier about her having a higher affinity to his chakra than Naruto ever did. She's like a compact reactor. The power is just sitting there, ready to go. She doesn't need Kurama's permission or influence. It is her power. And this is where things get unstable. Himawari aims this bomb horizontally, right down in the street. If she fires that, she definitely wipes out the Mamushi clones, of course, but she also vaporizes Team 10 and the entire residential area. She's so focused on the solution, killing the bugs, that she completely ignores the physics of the explosion. It's like trying to kill a spider in your kitchen with a stick of dynamite. This is what we mean by her being dangerous. She isn't losing control to the beast. She just has zero concept of collateral damage. So with the village about 2 seconds away from being erased by one of its own shinobi, we see why teams exist. This brings us to Shikadai. He realizes immediately that Himawari has no idea what she's doing. So he uses this new application of his shadow jutsu, a shadow cage, to bundle all the enemies into one tight ball. Then he has Chocho hurl them into the air, and she fires the bomb into the sky. It detonates of course in the upper atmosphere, clearing the board without killing the civilians. So from a potency standpoint, Himawari can one-shot threats, but she has no battle awareness. Without Shikadai and Chocho being present, that chapter ends very differently. Now I want to touch on the bipolar idea that has been floating around as well. In the old days when a Jinchuriki was unstable, it meant that they were going berserk. Naruto grew claws, frothed at the mouth and attacks his friends because he was angry. Himawari shows us a different kind of instability. It's still cognitive, but not all the way there. She isn't angry in this chapter, she's actually pretty chill, and that's the scary part. The bipolar disconnect comes from her design. She's presented as this cute kid, this cute, lovable kid, which is then contrasted with the fact that she's casually handling a weapon of mass destruction. Now, there's also another reason, I think, and it also goes back to why Himawari's behavior seems so familiar. And it all goes back to the origin of chakra itself. We need to talk about the Kaguya syndrome. Think back to the Sage of Six Paths. He didn't just fear Kaguya because she was strong. He specifically feared that Naruto, by acquiring the power of all the tail beasts, might become like Kaguya. Hagoromo stated that his mother wasn't always a monster. She started with good intentions, but after consuming the chakra fruit, something changed. She lost her heart. She became cold, distant, and obsessed with power rather than human emotion. Why does consuming that power strip away your humanity? The answer is likely nature energy. We know from the data books and the lore that the Ten Tails isn't just a chakra battery. It is literally the planet's energy given form. When Kaguya consumed the fruit, she didn't just eat power, she ate the raw, unfiltrated essence of the planet. Nature energy is toxic to the human mind if it isn't perfectly balanced. Look at Jugo. His clan's Kekkei Genkai allows them to passively absorb nature energy. What happens to them? They become bipolar to some extent. They enter a murderous berserk rage where they lose all perspective and just want to destroy. They don't become evil, they become forces of nature, violent and uncontrollable. Now look at Himawari. Kurama has stated that she has a perfect affinity for him, better than Naruto ever did. In Naruto, the seal acted as a filter. He mixed Kurama's chakra with Naruto's very slowly, diluting the toxicity. But of course, Himawari doesn't have a seal. She and the little Kurama are fused. This means that she's likely channeling a much bigger percentage of raw nature energy directly into her brain than Naruto ever did. This explains the blank stare or the personality change when she's charging the Bijuu bomb, or whenever she enters this form. In that moment, she isn't Himawari the sister, she's the Himawari, the Bijuu hybrid. Just like Kaguya, who became someone else once she consumed a similar essence. By the way, this is something that she has always struggled with, which now makes sense given what we know about her innate biology, which is very similar to that of the Shinju. The nature energy is possibly corroding her ability to differentiate friend and a target, or friend and foe. That is why she enters a locked-on mode where empathy is turned off and only results matter. This is exactly what Hagoromo feared. He didn't fear Naruto becoming a demon, he feared Naruto becoming a god, because gods don't care if they step on a few ants or villagers to kill a pest. Himawari is currently walking that line. She's touching the same madness of nature that Kaguya did, and because she's just a kid, she doesn't have the mental fortitude to filter out the corruption. She's possibly becoming a terrifying monster. She might stop seeing the difference between saving the village and destroying it. So where does that leave us? Based on chapter 30, I think we're looking at 3 major shifts for Himawari. First, I think we need a tactical upgrade per se. She can't keep brawling in the streets with nukes. Okay, it's a bit too messy. But remember, she does have the Byakugan. I think we're going to see her transition into a long-range specialist per se. She uses the Byakugan to lock onto targets from miles away and then uses the Tail Beast power to snipe them before they even get a chance to get close to the village. It's probably gonna be somewhat similar to what Jura does with his Renegon, which makes even more sense with the Byakugan given its capabilities, so it's something that I think can happen. She also needs to learn compression. Instead of exploding that chakra outward, she needs to keep it inside, control the AoE. Imagine a gentle fist strike that injects a mini Bijuu bomb into your organs. That's a bit crazy. She could even fire them as lasers, which again would mimic Jura's usage, but it does make sense given their similarities. And finally, I think she needs a check on her mentality. We know Koji has seen many timelines where Himawari dies, and this chapter showed us why, I think. She's very reckless. Standing in the open and firing blindly is how you get killed. Maybe there needs to be some outside intervention, or maybe it's something she needs to overcome internally. We'll see. So to wrap this up, Himawari is a biological singularity. Uzumaki vitality, Bijuu composition, Hyuga eyes, and a tail beast battery. But she's currently the most dangerous variable on the battlefield, at least for the good guys. She did save the day against Mamushi, but she definitely gave Shikadai a few grays in the process, so she needs to work on that. Anyways, that is it for the breakdown today. Let me know in the comments if you guys think Himawari is going to master this power or if she's just going to keep stressing everyone out. Stay tuned for the next one. Peace.